Alright, I'm Liam Farrelly. I'm a stand-up comedian from Paisley. And in my job, I'm used to people getting cheeky with me, hecklers and that. And that's just part of the game. But it can be quite brutal, and I've seen comedians handle it in many different ways. I've seen people try and bring a heckler up on stage. I've seen them try and challenge them to a fight. I've seen one guy completely lose the plot, but he was being heckled by his dad. So these things happen, but it's when people get brutal in other ways, like having a go at someone in the street for being different. I don't understand that. That's why I'm going to talk to Callum and Kev, and I think what they're going to say is going to surprise me. Alright, so I'm here with Kev Neary from Aid and Abet and Cam Hutchison from Medics Against Violence. And Kev, you work with Aid and Abet. Can you tell us a bit about what you do there?
Aid and Abet's a peer-led charity, people with lived experience who've experienced the criminal justice system, who have been imprisoned and who have experienced substance misuse through the years. We're all volunteers who are aiming to look at supporting people coming to prison.
Callum, what are you doing at Medics Against Violence?
So I'm the regional supervisor and project development lead for Medics Against Violence, the Navigator programme. So I'm responsible for the Glasgow Royal Infirmary, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital and the Royal Alexandra Hospital. The other side of my role in being project development is my role to develop initiatives and projects that will help reduce kind of violence or prevent violence with young people in particular. So in a lot of kind of education settings in schools and doing a lot of kind of group work and kind of education around about the consequences of violence on your health, on your life, and just co-creating that with young people as well. So I'm somebody who's got lived experience as well in the criminal justice system, adversity, violence, stuff like that. So being able to be a professional with lived experience gives me a wee bit more an advantage when I'm working with young people, and credibility, I suppose.
Aye, of course, man, definitely. And I think it must be kind of difficult for people who haven't experienced anything like that to look in and be like, where is this violence coming from? So can you maybe give us an explanation, kind of where is that coming from with the violence?
It's easy to be kind of focused on symptoms when it comes to violence. People see knives, people see kind of fights and behaviours, and they'll not really get to the root or see the root. But I think Scotland's done amazing to bring awareness around about why violence happens. Violence doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's kind of perpetuated through trauma, through adversity, through kind of systemic kind of issues that might go on socially within communities, and an understanding through that violence is often happens in with a small minority, but they commit a large amount of violence as well, and often perpetrators have been victims.
I think it's also been a bit aware, as Callum really said there, and where violence actually comes to. But when young people who are brought up in that environment are full of emotion and they act out on that emotion, so it took me a lot of years to work out that people didn't make me angry. I made myself angry for how I perceived the situation, how I perceived a comment, how it made me feel insecure, judged, jealous, stuff like that. When somebody makes a comment to you, how you perceive it, you can get a physiological response to your rage and tightening up. Somebody else can say something else to you and you get a response to laughter.
It seems to be like younger people that are most likely to kind of do this type of stuff. Is that the case? Is it a lot of that that's coming from? Like, who is it that's kind of doing this type of stuff?
It's there is certainly, if we're talking about prevention, then we've got to be working with young people. We've got to be working with young people as soon and as early as we can, so that we're not, like myself, 25, still behaving the way I was when I was 12. We always talk about attention seeking. It's actually connection seeking, and they're not getting that for somewhere else in their life, and they know if they arrive at a place where this is going to bring me to the forefront and get me a bit of attention, then I can start to connect. And I think that's what's void a lot of young people right now, is they've not got a lot of healthy connections within their circle, within their life. They talk about it takes a village to raise a kid. So it's not just the police's it's not just them who are responsible. It's not just our organisation, Kevin's organisation. It's actually everybody, because young people are watching everybody. If you take a young person to a football game and they see how you behave for 90 minutes, they think, right, that's acceptable now. I can do that. They don't really take into consideration that was just an expression that was heightened by the football. That person doesn't really hate the person sitting at the other side of the stadium, but the behaviour is reinforced to the young person, it's all right to act like that, because I seen an adult acting like that in front of 59,000 witnesses.
Yeah.
It's cool. So I can just do that in my community and I can go and express that. And the message, the subtle message that's getting passed to your young people is it's all right to hate. It's all right to despise. It's all right to be derogatory. It's all right to bring somebody down to make you feel better. And then we wonder why our young people are going about and using words and expressing words like I hate them, and or they try and belittle people in front of their peers to make themselves feel better. That's came from somewhere. And I
Yeah.
don't think they're teaching hate in school, but I think in everyday life they're seeing it.
I think it's that thing as well. Like as soon as someone says, "Oh, I hate you," you
Aye.
immediately are like, "Well, I hate you too." Aye.
Aye,
So it's
aye,
that
aye.
problem of
Absolutely.
like it's just hate begets hate kind of
Yep,
thing. So it's
definitely.
Well, the thing as well is what we find, especially in young boys and men, is the fact that they'll know express their emotions and know express their feelings, and they can be egged on. And if a young guy is going about, and girls as well, but predominantly young men, who will know express how they feel because they'll be classed as weak, because he's going to say, yeah, look at you, and egged on, and then that causes a frustration and emotion, and then they need to act that out, and they need to act differently to show that I'm no weak, because you're indicating that I'm weak, you know.
Do you know, I had to go out and hang about with other people to find out how their views and opinions. They can all do it at the click of a button. That's why I always talk about their phone being the most offensive weapon they'll probably ever carry, because we've all got one and we've all got the power to hurt somebody for the comfort of our own house.
you're talking about these boys and they're like, let's say when they're getting older and they're going up to town, they're maybe having a bit of drink or something like that. Seems to be almost like they see someone different walking down the street and that's a target for them. Like, why is that? Like, what's that about?
I think it's a lot of similarities in between, where they don't just arrive at a point where they dislike somebody because they're different. I think it's that message has been imparted on them, and I think it's quite a for boys in particular, challenging their masculinity, whether that comes in getting a knockback, getting rejected, whatever form that comes in. It could be as simple as go to the shop and getting told you've had too much to drink, I'm not serving you. And it might be somebody different of race who's gave you that rejection. And it's quite an easy take just to insult them because they're different for you. And I always try and lean to the side, I try to be understanding that they're not really at the point where they want to, and they're sane thinking, no under the influence, they probably when they say that stuff. It's motivated a lot by that. I'm motivated a lot by maybe what they're under the influence with, motivated by their peer pressure, but also that rejection. And that rejection might have came from somewhere. They might have been rejected a lot in their life, and it's actually playing out in the form that's got nothing really to do with it. It's just they're hearing, no, you're no getting again. And an easy kind of way to insult somebody in somebody's mind like that is to go after what the difference is. Now I'm sitting here, obviously I've got ginger hair, so I've had slaggings all my days for having ginger hair, because it's common. It was always just kind of me and stuff like that, but that was acceptable. In my peer group, that was socially acceptable. It was just a slagging. Where does the line stop for a slagging to actually hurting somebody? For the point where you've degraded somebody and it's been emotionally, it's affected them, and mentally it's affected them, because that's what this stuff can do. Your words can be as brutal as more brutal than your actions at times. And people don't deserve, dairy, to be in their place of work or going about their life to be abused, because it's abuse. That's what it is. But I think it's a lack of education. And I think we need to challenge the message that young people get access to when they're at that age where they're, I suppose, like sponges, and they absorb things and call it